Welcome to the first game of the NorCraft Cup final day here. It is day 2, and we have, spawning in the top right position as the blue Protoss player, representing Pekka. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Elfi. There's Pekka, if anyone's wondering. Pekka is right there. Hashtag for Pekka. His opponent, however, is representing something significantly more deadly. He represents Swarm Host, as far as we can tell, and also has the delightful, smuggiest mug I think I've ever seen in the game of StarCraft. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, the Red Zerg. It is SortOf. Alright. So, I'm pretty excited to have this PVZ first up here today. Two incredibly talented players, only one of whom is going to be able to progress to the quarterfinals here. And for those who are wondering exactly what's on offer, we basically have 3,000 euros in a prize pool today, and there are only 8 players. So there's a decent shot that these guys are going to be able to walk home with some money today. And I think both of these guys fancy their chances in progressing. We had the group stages yesterday where we started with 16 players. This is an elimination bracket now, by the way. So absolutely no second chances now. You're not going to be able to lose a match and come back in a loser's match or the 5th match or anything like that. It's all or nothing, guys. It's go big or go home. And we have actually got the Nexus first into a gateway for our Protoss play. You can see the Nexus right there. You saw the probe earlier. And we have the Overlord coming in from SortOf. We'll be able to spot that at some point in the near future. But there's no wall, so he's going to have to go all the way up to here before he spots that this is what's happened. In the meantime, the hatch has come down. We can see the pool following that up as well. So SortOf just kind of being very flexible with his build right now. As soon as he sees this Nexus, I bet you he's going to be going for a third hatch as quickly as possible. There we go. Hang on a second. That Nexus is 3/4 of the way done. I know what's going on here. And almost instantaneously, a drone gets sent out. Unfortunately, he's playing... Ooh! Well, he was chasing the probe. He's no longer chasing the probe. Elfi instead going to be scouting for any potential gas timings by the looks of things here. And just scouting, sees the first gas being taken. Have I got music here? Oops, that is not the correct one. I have got music. Cool. I like music. Music is friendly. Cybernetics core, halfway done now as well. There's the third hatch, as we promised, instantaneously going down from SortOf as soon as he saw that Nexus first. And now we have the first pair of lings. These little guys are going to be doing their best to go ahead and scout out what is going on around the map with this probe. Wants to find out where that little guy's gone and, you know, maybe give him a little hug. Unfortunately, Elfi has other ideas. Disliking the idea of probe hugs from Zerglings, he's going to be moving all the way back. So who are you guys rooting for? Who do you plan on winning this entire tournament? I will update you guys in between games with the bracket so you can see what's going on. We've got some pretty sick round of 8 games. We have, I think MorroW Buddy is a pairing. And we've got Snute in action later on as well, so that's going to be pretty sick as well. I don't think we got many Snute games yesterday, so it'll be cool to see him play today. And these two lings, unfortunately, not getting too much scouted there. How much of that gas did he actually see? He didn't actually quite get within range to see the gases, guys. So he hasn't seen anything as far as we're concerned. That Mothership Core and the Stalker both taking out those Zerglings together here. And we have this Overlord getting ready to sneak in to see if there's anything in the back here. As soon as he spots there's nothing there, he's just going to move back. We've got a fight out in the middle of the map now in order to control the watchtowers, but nothing too out of the ordinary. We're just waiting for the tech to come in. Zergling speed's halfway done for SortOf now, and he has got 12 lings in production. So potential for run-bys later on. We saw on day 1 there were quite a few instances where Protoss has left their walls open when they came out with their army to attack, and Zergling run-bys with those speedlings have just been really, really effective. Of course, he can also just use these little guys to make sure any early Mothership Core base pressure is comfortably repelled. And really no cards shown by either player right now, it has to be said. We've got Warp Gate completing here. And just more gateways and a +1 coming down from Elfi. I mean, we could see a massive gateway attack coming off of this, but we have got 3 gases. So we'll be keeping an eye on that. He's up to 400 at the moment. He's actually up to 800 minerals, so Potential for a gateway explosion here. We'll keep that in mind. In the meantime, we've got the Roach Warren going down now in the natural expansion of SortOf. Starting to spread his creep a little bit as well, pulling the Overlords back in case we see a little bit of Stargate action coming in from our Protoss player. And here are those Lings. They're darting around, they're checking for a third base, they don't see one, so that's going to be reasonably good. And there's the Twilight Council in the main base. So, smart money right now, potentially, on Blink coming out of this Twilight here. And as soon as we see that pop out, we're going to be looking at when a +2 is going to complete at the Forge. And potentially for a +2 Blink timing. There is the Blink being researched by the Protoss player right now. These Lings still kind of chilling out, just waiting to see what they can do. There's a hallucinated Phoenix. Don't need to worry too much about that, although the Lings did see it. And he's moving in now. He's going, well, that's a lot of sentries. I don't think you've invested in a Stargate, mate. So he's not going to be expecting to see 12 Phoenixes fly his way anytime soon when there's that much gas invested in the gateway units this early on. Layer now completing. Hallucinated Phoenix sees the exact timing on that, so that's pretty cool. And it looks like it's going to live to see all 3 of these bases. Unfortunately, the Queens are going to destroy that, but I think all of the information he needed was there. He managed to count all of the gases. Sees that SortOf is actually mining from all 6 of his gas geysers now. So he knows potential for that tech is there. We've got +1/+1 glial reconstitution on the way now. So SortOf making use of that gas. In the meantime, we have the Twilight Council being followed up with the robotics facility. Blink about halfway done now, and as predicted, we've got the +2 from the Forge incoming as well. He's actually chrono boosting that. Going to be able to time that out with Blink, by my understanding. And we'll see if he can make that work. Is he going to be able to get that? Oh! He just about gets it. That was really close. It was actually so close to going into the Fog of War, guys, that these Stalkers didn't actually see the death animation on the Overlord. That's how close it was. So nicely played there by Elfi, able to deny his opponent's scouting, and the gateway explosion's actually happening at his 3rd base right now. Got a couple of gateways that still need to be made into warp gates, but nothing major over here. The Spire is halfway done for our Zerg player, and the 1-1 now, well, it's nearing completion, as is the glial reconstitution, so this Roachling army is actually quite frightening. But at the moment, all of the upgrades are about 30 seconds away, so he could attack now, and he's actually going to try and poke into the 3rd, but I'm not sure how much damage this can realistically do. With this many force fields in the Protoss army, I'd be really concerned right now. There is glial reconstitution, so the Roaches can actually move a little bit quicker, but ground weapons level 2 has just completed for the Protoss. 1-1 still not done for the Zerg player. And the positioning from Elfi here is just pretty solid. He can defend his 3rd at will, he can move into his natural, no problem. The only area where he's arguably a little bit vulnerable is his main, but we don't see any Mutaflock anytime soon. I mean, 11 of them are on the way, but they're not halfway across the map or anything like that. And the Overseer, wow, well, he's making a point, just chilling here. He's like, Pekka, I can see everything. Both armies just kind of posturing around right now, but I have to give the advantage to the Protoss army here. We've got the faster reinforcements, we have the force fields, we have the Guardian Shield. And it looks like we're just buying time for the Mutalisks right now. A little bit of engagement out in the middle of the map, and it looks like we're just going to be warping in Stalkers to deal with this back home at the 3rd base. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough here from Elfi. The rest of his army was out in the Watchtower, but he's actually pulling that back now. It's almost like he's a little uncertain what he wants to be doing with this, which concerns me slightly, because I feel like he needs to commit one way or the other. In the meantime, SortOf has got his 4th base just comfortably here. And the Mutas are coming into the main base now, and they're starting to pick off probes, and I think this lack of decisiveness from Elfi is costing him precious seconds. He's now moving on to creep, but he's destroying creep tumors right now. He needs to be destroying bases, because look at how much damage these Mutas are doing. They're absolutely fantastic. And we have SortOf actually pulling back with his entire army, including the Mutas, deciding that this is a threat that he needs to try and contain. Pylon gets killed, the one closest to creep, so that's going to be fairly useful. Stops those reinforcements getting to Elfi's army very quickly. And are we going to see a little bit of a sandwich here? Good force fields up on the north side, only about half the Roaches able to attack. And we have Roaches, Lings, and Mutas on the south, which do get cleaned up. So very nice way to segment there, although approximately 1 million force fields involved there. But now with these Roaches coming in, I think SortOf's going to be able to clean this up. Good Micro with the Blink Stalkers, able to kill off many of those Mutalisks. And they're actually reinforcements from the Protoss here, so this fight just became a lot less clear. But the Mutalisks, well, they're still doing a pretty solid job. They're keeping the Zealots occupied, actually, and Elfi is going to be forced off of creep. The supplies are currently 159 to 126, And flyer attacks level 1 are about to complete for our Zerg player, so any potential attacks against the mineral lines with these Mutalisks are going to be able to decimate those drones very, very quickly indeed compared to how they were doing it before. And that observer lived life on the edge, and that's all I have to say about that. Alright. So we got another engagement out in the middle of the map here. SortOf, he's being very brave actually with this. I'm not sure he can quite handle that army yet, and I don't think he is either. So he's just going to be moving back. Perhaps mistimed it with melee attacks level 2 coming out right now. Maybe a bunch more lings, and that could be pretty good. And we actually have 36 in production as I speak. So, yep, fair enough. +3 attack coming in from Elfi as well, so really trying to make the most of it. And here we go with those fire attack upgrades. The Mutaball is going to get coming back into the main base. He's killing off a pylon next to chrono boosted gateways. That can't be a bad thing. But is he going to try and pick off any probes? No, it doesn't look like it. In fact, he's smelled a rat here. We have the counterattack coming out from Elfi, and SortOf saying, actually, you know what, mate? I'm pretty confident I can absolutely have a go at this. He's actually going to pick apart this pylon. I love how he kills off this pylon because reinforcing is just going to be so hard. Elfi is able to get a decent... Oh, needs to be careful with the Mutas. The Mutas, I don't think, can win this fight. There are quite a lot of Stalkers. Unless he has the rest of his army here, I fear for the Mutas here. I really do. And wow, we have the offensive blink into the rest of the army to try and support the Zealots here from Elfi. Trying to synergize there as much as possible, but bear in mind, the Mutas are still firing away. It looks like Elfi's going to be able to overcome it this time by putting his army together and defeating the ground army. A lot of the Mutas survive... Oh, have I spoken too soon when I say a lot of the Mutas survive? A couple more of them going down there. And, wow, that was actually a really good split-second decision from Elfi. It wasn't clear at all, guys, because the Mutas looked like they were going to lose to the Stalkers, and then Elfi blinked away with them, but that's because he saw that the Zealots were struggling, and he needed to beat the army on the ground before he targeted the army in the air. So that was a really cool decision from Elfi, and SortOf now finds himself in a really troubled position. He's got his macro hatch here at the third, so it's going to take a little while before this all goes down. He will be able to reinforce faster as well. We've got some Zealots moving in at the 4th base location, picking off a lot of drones. 6 workers killed so far, and counting. The Mutas behind, meanwhile, are still just trying to pick off all of the forward pylons to blunt the reinforcements of this attack. And I think at some point soon, SortOf's going to have to just go for it. Maybe you can afford to lose one of these hatches, but I wouldn't want to be losing both as the Zerg player here. And oh dear, so 18 workers killed and counting now. This hatchery looks like it's going to go down. The macro hatches died off at the 3rd base location, and I SortOf really can't afford to lose any more here. He's down to 140 supply versus 125, and Elfi's in a pretty solid position right now. He's got the +3 attack finished as well, don't forget. And these Stalkers are just absolutely wreaking havoc. More Lings and more Mutas coming out, and here we go. SortOf going for the surround. The Mutas coming in with their attack upgrades as well, doing a lot of bounce glaive damage to those Stalkers, and it looks like SortOf should just about be able to hold this off, but don't forget, +3 attack means it becomes really double-sided here. Both sides absolutely going at it, and Mutas are being lost here, but he does have enough to drive this away. That pylon will get cleaned up. Elfi cannot use that to warp units in and do damage any longer, and SortOf reclaims his half of the map. He is down a macro hatch, however, and he is not quite going to be down a 4th base. That was very, very close. Those +3 Zealots do damage very quickly indeed. Alright. So what else have we got here? Wow, we actually had a Photon Overcharge enabled there to kind of push the Mutas back. And how many Mutas do we actually have out on field right now? It's 25. That makes it very awkward to deal with because you need to commit a sizable number of Stalkers. Photon Overcharge, but, well, to be honest, Mutas don't seem to be caring very much right now. They just want to go for the Stalkers. Photon Overcharge at the natural and at the 3rd base right now, but wow, these Mutas coming in. They are slaughtering all of the Stalkers along the Lings, and even if the rest of the army can catch up, it might not matter because they can't shoot up. GG! And SortOf, ladies and gentlemen, takes game number 1 over Elfi in the quarterfinals of the NorCraft Cup.